Hi everyone, it's Kristi. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to start my design team project for happiness and crafting, and I'm going to be using the Vintage Men and Motors kit. I have not printed out the entire collection, and that's because my printer is having some issues, but I think I've printed enough to get this project started. I've ordered a new printer. It's not aligning properly, so it's intermittent. It works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, and I got most of what I needed printed out, so I'll show you what I have. This is a beautiful kit, very masculine. There's a couple of pages of maps, different colors, different maps, of course. This has Gulf of Mexico. This one has Lower California on it. And I'm going to be making, of course, a masculine journal. I haven't decided which one of these I want to put on the inside cover. I'm going to wait until I get the cover finished, but I think I'm going to go with the California one because it's a little grungier, and maybe use this one in the center. And then I've chosen 6 backgrounds. I'm making this book for my brother. He lives in Arizona, so this is perfect. And yeah, I really like these papers. I'm going to be filling in the remainder of the book with coffee-dyed paper or tea-dyed paper, and I'm going to go ahead and tea-dye the back of these pages as well, because I can't print anything else at this moment. This collection comes with, and I think I printed out 8 of the 14 backgrounds. There's 4 pages of ephemera, so you've got the shields, these tags. I accidentally forgot to uncheck the fit to box, so it's got a little cut off here, but I don't think it's a major problem there. There's 2 pages of journal cards, which are nice, and you can see on the journal cards some of the other background pages that maybe I did not print out. There are several that are lined writing pages, so it's a great collection. They have some of these on them, and I really think it's going to turn out cool. So I printed out, and I don't know if I'll use these or what, but I want to have options, so I've printed out all 4 ephemera pages, 2 to a page, so I can have some smaller cards and smaller pieces. This one printed out fine. This one went skewy. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it plain as day. It's not lined up, and it starts out, and when it goes to the end, it's not going all the way. So the next time it's, and then it starts clicking and making horrible noises, and I overworked her, and that's what I get. So anyway, that's the collection I'll be using, but I want to do kind of like a faux leather cover, and I've got my Mod Podge here, and I suppose I need a brush. I don't have one here, so let me get one. I don't know if this will work or not, but the handle keeps flying off, so I'm going to put some, probably E6000 would be better, but I have another paintbrush in the other room. I just want this to stay on here temporarily. There we go. There we go. All right. So, put the closure back on the glue. So I've got a 9x12 envelope here, and this is paint masking paper. I get this at Home Depot. It's near the paint. I think it's paint. It's not on the painting aisle, but it's near there, and it comes in this craft color. It's very thin. Comes in the craft color. It comes in a green. It comes in a 6-inch width, which I use a lot in my books. This one is 12 inches, and I've just cut it so that it's about, since the envelope is 9 by 12, I've got about 1.5 inches all the way around. So 12 by, what, 15, I'd say. All right, so I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to crumple it up. Now, I've seen people do this without crumpling it up. I have a really difficult time trying to do that because once it gets glued down, I haven't found. And so my battery died. I don't know why I can never remember to recharge my battery. Anyway, I like to crumple this up ahead of time because I feel like the Mod Podge doesn't give me enough time to squish and move and crinkle. So I'm just going to open this out, smooth it out a little bit. Apologize for the crinkling sound, although that's one of my favorite sounds. Okay, so I've got lots of tiny little detail. You don't have to crumple it up that much if you don't want to. There is a little bit of shrinkage when you crumple it, but because I left 1.5 inches, that's plenty. I still have plenty of room around the outside. So I am going to go ahead, and I probably should put a piece of parchment down. Well, that's the end of my parchment. That's just right. Okay. So let's, I'll just leave that folded. Now, is that a piece of hair? No. Okay, let me get a baby wipe because you never know exactly when you're going to need one when you're working with Mod Podge or okay, so I've got my baby wipes, and I usually try to keep the inside of this lid clean and the outside of this clean, and you do get little pieces breaking off, but that's okay. I'm going to start on this side, brushing this on. I do have a bigger brush. I do have a bigger brush, but I don't know where it is at the moment. Sometimes the kids borrow my stuff and don't return it. I'm not worried about this being neat and tidy. Okay. And I want to put this over the top. And hopefully I've done that. I better look. No, not even close. All right, let's try that again. All right. There we go. Probably need a little more Mod Podge. I don't really want to use like a brayer or anything on this because I don't want to remove or press out those wrinkles, but I do want to get it nicely adhered. So there we go. All right. So I'm just gonna probably way too much. We'll find out. Parchment paper's not quite big enough to stay on, but that's okay. Pick up some of this. Just ever. Okay. Because apparently I didn't put enough on the other side, so let's get this over here. Okay, this is a video about me making a mess, but that's okay. Remember when you were 5, you loved making a mess, nothing better. I remember making mud pies at the beach when I was 5, or maybe 3, I don't even remember. Okay, here we go. I want to get those edges. Put that down. Okay, just kind of walk it across. A lot wetter on this side. So I do want to pull that off and go around here and make sure that I've got most of this covered. We don't want that lifting. And I think I do have some metal corners that I can stick on there. But I'll have to dig them up. See, I've got a piece right there. Yeah, and it's dry around the edges, but there's nothing there. So I am gonna let that sit for a minute. And we are gonna Mod Podge both sides. So I'm going to Mod Podge this side as well. Lots of good wrinkles in here. Okay. All right. So let's do a little less than that this time and go from the middle out. Now, one thing, and I do remember this, that the Mod Podge will pool in between these areas. So you want to make sure that you get this nice and spread out. Just keep spreading it around, because wherever there is a pool, it doesn't always dry clear. It may dry white, and you don't want that. Or it'll be clear, but there'll be a big clump. So I'm just kind of going back and forth, making sure. This will help it take the ink. I'm going to use the Holtz Distress Spray, which is a combination of ink and pigment, and that's why it gives you the different effects. It'll give you clear and then more opaque at times, because it's a combination of things. I'm thinking I might need to punch a hole in here. I think I'm going to cut that open. We're going to do a little surgery here. Only because that needs to have glue in it. It's coming up on me. So I'm thinking it probably will not show once I have it all glued down and inked. But there's a big air bubble there that needs to be taken care of. There we go. None the wiser. Okay. I'm kind of pouncing just those areas that have too much glue there. I want to make sure that's coming up. And Mod Podge is really quick to dry. So this should be dry in just a few minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, it's not completely dry, but it's mostly dry. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this back part. I'm going to cut these corners. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch because I like to have that little bit of buffer there. But you probably can't see that when I'm way over here off screen. Try to stay on my 12-inch square on my desk, but I don't always make it. Okay. Alright, so let's do the ends first. Let's get a little bit underneath there so it doesn't lift. It shouldn't be a problem, but alright, I'm just going to wrap around. It's crinkly enough. I don't have to do anything different to it. So just lay that down. And there was a corner lifting, I think, yeah, this one. So I want to make sure I get something under that. Okay. Makes more sense to put the glue on the smaller piece, but you know, I get excited and I just start gluing, so don't want to tweak that backwards. Okay. Now because I cut that 1/8 of an inch away, you'll see there is a little piece here, and I'm just going to flatten it down. I mean, it's not like it's going to be that thick. Actually, this one needs a little bit more glue. Oops. Okay. And that gives you a nice square corner when you do that. Okay, you can see that 1/8 of an inch laying over the top there, and there as well. Okay, let's do this side. Just flatten that and flatten this. I am hard on my brushes. That's why they break. Okay, so come around. There we go. And it's okay if it wrinkles up because that's the look we're going for. Okay, a little bit more here. Okay, now this is really pliable because it's still a little bit wet. So I am going to let this completely dry and you may be able to see, I don't know if you can, it looks like it's mostly gone. There were some white spots on it when I took it over to dry it a little bit. There were some white spots, so I kind of just rubbed on them a little bit and added a little bit more heat. Like you may be able to see just a little bit right there. But we're going to put ink over this, so it's not going to really show. Yeah, so I am going to go ahead and Mod Podge this edge as well around the outside. Most of it's already got it on there, but I'm just going to go lightly over, and then we're going to let this dry for a little bit, and then we'll come back and add our ink. Now this Mod Podge is going to help with giving our ink place to stay, because it'll give that. Not that the paper wouldn't have, the paper would have absorbed it too much. So the Mod Podge will give it a little bit of a resist, so we're not using a ton of ink in this process. So I'm going to go wash my brush, let this dry a bit, and I'll be back. Okay everyone, I am back. This is pretty nicely dry, and just you'll notice I have a problem here with my hands. I opened the I don't know, one of these. I don't know if it was the walnuts. I think it was the gathered twigs, actually. And I started to shake it, and it wasn't closed. So make sure they're closed before you shake them, because it went all over me, and yeah, whatever. So I'm going to try this, I think, with the walnut stain. Now, Tim Holtz says not to shake these this way, because it will come out, and you can see it'll come out the top. So you're supposed to kind of, there's ball inside, and you're supposed to kind of twirl it around, okay, like that. Now, if you haven't been twirling it, it's solid on the bottom, and that is the opaque nature, that's the pigment, okay? But if you turn it over like this and it goes clear, then you've mixed it enough. Okay. So, I've got the walnut stain here. Hopefully I don't make a bigger mess than I've already got. I'm going to try on this side first and just see what I want here. And I may use a combination of colors. I've got a baby wipe here that I'm going to use for this. Now, I am using the oxides, so you're going to see that it's not quite as dark. You never know what you're going to get. It almost has a gray color to it. So I don't know what I'm going to get, but I do know this. If I don't like it, I can always go over it with something else. What am I using? I'm using the walnut stain. Doesn't quite seem as dark as what I thought it was going to be, but I guess we'll see. Don't really need to do anything else on this side, because I'm going to cover this with one of those maps. And let's see what that looks like when it's somewhat dry. Now, I don't have the re-inkers, but I do have a walnut stain. No, I don't have a walnut stain. Do I have a walnut stain? I used to have a little tiny walnut stain ink pad. I don't know what happened to it. I ordered it by accident. But I do have Vintage Photo and Vintage Photo and Espresso. So I may use the Espresso. But let's look at these map pieces here. What do I do with them? I was looking through these again, trying to decide what where. So yeah, I don't like that at all. I think this is the one I'm going to use for the inside cover, because it's more brown. I think that'll work. So, and like I said, I don't know what we're going to get, but we're going to play, and we're just going to get what we get. So I'm going to mix some colors. So I've got some gathered twigs. I've got Vintage Photo. The Vintage Photo is more red, the gathered twigs is more yellow, and the walnut stain has a little bit of, it's kind of somewhere, in intensity it seems it's supposed to be darker, but I may even come in with some of this carved pumpkin, because sometimes leather can be kind of orangey, and that's what I like about using these envelopes. This masking paper, you can see it's almost become transparent. You can see that manila envelope. Well, it's manila envelope, but it's orange. It's not actually manila as in what we think of. So I'm going to keep mixing this orange one real quick. Yeah, it's getting there. But you want to make sure you get that pigment off the bottom. This one's been sitting there for a long time. I just opened it. You could use mustard seed. All right, let's spray just a little bit of that. I don't need a lot because I just want that to be in the background. And then we'll just layer this to where we want it. And like I said, if I don't like these combination of inks, then I can go in with paint. I've got some burnt umber. So we'll just, I kind of like this. I think the vintage photo comes ahead. So, you know what though? I don't think I'm gonna do that because you see that all becomes kind of like mud. So let's start over with that. I'm gonna wipe this off, and then I'm gonna go back in and kind of spray again. And let me get another baby wipe here. Get some of that off. Now I've only done this once before, and I think I used the ink pads to do it, if I remember correctly. And maybe I've done it more than once, I don't know. I don't remember, but I'm just kind of picking up some of that stain. Distress oxide, pigment, and ink is what it is actually. Alright, so I want to come in here with these different colors, and I think most of it became almost like gathered twigs. I don't know what happened. There it is. Gotta keep those lids on, and then I'm just gonna kind of blot. I kind of want the variation in color, so you can see how there's some darker areas. I kind of want to leave those. I don't want to take those away too much. So what I might do is go ahead and let that dry and then come back and apply some more ink. I don't know what's going on over here. It's really gray on the edges. There was something I was just thinking I might want to do. I'm going to add just a touch of this, and then we can pick that up too. And do you know how after you're looking at something for a while, all of a sudden it just, and I have the reflection as well, but it's like it stops looking like anything. So I think I want to wait for it to dry, and maybe when it's dry I'll come back and add a little bit more. But I also have my spray bottle, and you know how the distress inks can react to water. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that and see if I get some modeling occurring. Let's see. See some here, and some there. And just kind of, not even just spray, just kind of spray so that it drips out. just a tiny bit. Oops, that was way more than I wanted. All right, so I'm going to let this dry. I see some color variation now that I've sprayed it with the water, and we'll be back. And I think what I may do after this is done is come back with my espresso ink pad, because it's going to be more transparent and it's going to pick up the wrinkles and make them darker, and I think that might look really cool. So I'll show you what I end up with in the next video, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add our lining and start putting the book together. This is going to be a quick one because I'm not going to be doing a lot of ephemera. I'm going to be doing mostly coffee dyed paper and the few designer pages. I will put a book plate on the front, and that's about it. I've got to think of how I want to close it. I may use some Tim Holtz clips with some chain to close it up. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and I'll show you what I made of this mess.